Cairo, in Arabic Al-Qāhirah, the victorious city, capital of Egypt and one of the largest cities in Africa. Cairo is the 16th most populous metropolitan area in the world, with a metropolitan area population of approximately 15.2 million people. Cairo has stood for more than 1,000 years on the same site on the banks of the Nile, world's longest river, primarily on the eastern shore, some 500 miles 800 kilometers downstream from the Aswan High Dam. While Al-Qāhirah is the official name of the city, in local speech it is typically called by the name of the country, Misr, pronounced Masr in the local dialect. The name Cairo is believed to derive from the Arabic name of the planet Mars, Al-Najm al-Qāhir, which was rising on the day the city was founded by the Fatimid dynasty in 972 CE.
Cairo is located on the banks and islands of the Nile River in the north of Egypt, immediately south of the point where the river leaves its desert-bound valley and breaks into three branches into the low-lying Nile Delta region. The oldest part of the city is somewhat east of the river. There, the city gradually spreads west, engulfing the agricultural lands next to the Nile. These western areas, built on the model of Paris by Ismail Pasha, Ismail the Magnificent, in the mid-19th century, are marked by wide boulevards, public gardens, and open spaces. The older eastern section of the city is very different. Having grown up haphazardly over the centuries, it is filled with small lanes and crowded tenements. While Western Cairo is dominated by government buildings and modern architecture, the eastern half is filled with hundreds of ancient mosques that act as landmarks. Extensive water systems have also allowed the city to expand east into the desert. Bridges link the Nile islands of Gezira and Rhoda, where many government buildings are located and government officials live. Bridges also cross the Nile, attaching the city to the suburbs of Giza and Imbaba, parts of the Cairo conurbation. West of Giza, in the desert, is part of the ancient necropolis of Memphis on the Giza Plateau, with its three large pyramids, including the Great Pyramid of Giza, the only surviving wonder of the seven ancient wonders of the world. Approximately 11 miles, 18 kilometers to the south of modern Cairo is the site of the ancient Egyptian city of Memphis and adjoining necropolis of Saqqara. This city is where Cairo's ancient predecessors, when Cairo was still in this approximate geographical location.
Cairo has a simple climate of just two seasons, summer and winter. 8 months of the year comprise summer, while the other 4 represent winter. Contrary to many other destinations, summer is actually not the best time to visit. June to August are the hottest months of the year, so avoid visiting Cairo during these months to avoid the unbearable heat. Winter months are also not as severe in Cairo as in other countries. The average outdoor temperature is mainly 19 degrees during the cold season. The current location of Cairo was too far from the ancient course of the Nile to support the city. Just to the south of the modern city's location are the ruins of Memphis, which was the capital of ancient Egypt and was founded around 3100 BCE by Menes of Tanis after he had united the two kingdoms of Upper and Lower Egypt. The capital later moved to Heliopolis, further south to Thebes, then under the Ptolemaic dynasty it moved to Alexandria. The first settlement on the location of modern Cairo was a Roman fort, known as Babylon Fort, built about 150 CE. It was built near a settlement known as Babylon in Egypt, which lay close to an ancient Egyptian canal from the Nile to the Red Sea. A small town mostly of Coptic Christians slowly grew around the fort. Arab invaders led by Amir ibn Ilyas took the fort town in 642 CE. They established their army in the location, rebuilding its defenses. The Arab tented camp outside the fortress, known as Al-Fustat, slowly became the permanent base of the Arab forces in Egypt under the Umayyads and Abbasids and contains the first mosque in Africa. Slowly, the settlement grew into a small city. The North African Shiite Fatimid dynasty conquered Egypt in 972 CE and built a new capital, Al-Mansuriyah, north of the old settlement. Their leader, Al-Mu'izz renamed the city Al-Qāhirah after the planet Mars that was rising on the day the city was founded.
Napoleon conquered Egypt in 1798 and Cairo was quickly surrounded to him by its Mamluk rulers. Napoleon brought with him an army of scientists, scholars, and artists to establish a French culture based in Egypt. They made the first European study of Egypt published as the Description de l'Egypte. Napoleon left Egypt after his fleet was destroyed at the Battle of Abu Qir Bay in August 1798, leaving Jean-Baptiste Kleber, General Kleber, in charge. Kleber was assassinated in 1800 and the 3-year French occupation had little lasting effect. The pyramids of Giza are just 11 miles away from Cairo. Egypt is most famous for the pyramids of Giza because of their status as one of the original wonders of the world. These pyramids are located on the outskirts of Cairo and people visiting the city can easily include a trip to the pyramids. The impressive pyramids were designed to serve as a tomb for King Khufu and other Egyptian royals. The structure was the world's tallest until the creation of Lincoln Cathedral and Eiffel Tower. This ancient pyramid is 147 meters high and it was made more than 4,500 years ago. Without surprise, this is easily one of the most renowned monuments in Egypt.
Since the 19th century, Cairo has also become a center for tourism as people from around the world have come to see the monuments and artifacts of ancient Egypt, especially the pyramids. Laws against the export of these treasures has meant that the Egyptian Museum in Cairo is the only place in the world that many items can be seen. Throughout its history, Cairo was administered by a combination of national policymakers and local administrators. In 1949, the municipality Balad of Cairo was created. It was inaugurated together with the town council in 1950. In the following decade, Cairo was designated a governorate with which the municipality was merged. Cairo has long been a cultural capital of the Middle East, as well as a religion's chief mass media center. For many centuries, it was also the site of the religion's major religious and cultural institutions. Egypt has long been known for its musical and dramatic talent and as a site of a renaissance in Arab theater. The majority of Arabic films are produced by Egyptian companies in Cairo, and leading cinema stars and many popular musical entertainers of the Arab world make Cairo their headquarters. Egyptian radio and television series are broadcast throughout the Arab world, and a number of important newspapers are published in Cairo. Cairo's population, once both ethnically and religiously diverse, is now predominantly Muslim. A significant number of Egyptian Christians, the majority of whom observe the Coptic Orthodox faith, continue to dominate certain districts in the city. Remnants of the old Italian, Greek, Syrian, and Sudanese communities are still found in some locations. Cairo's economy has been based on governmental functions, commerce, trade, and industrial production. The modern productive sector expanded dramatically in the second half of the 20th century. Cairo is the country's primary center for economic production and financial control. It still contains many of Egypt's important banks, hotels, restaurants, entertainment venues, and cafes.
Egypt's extensive transportation network, laid out by the British, connects most of the country's urban centers with a capital. Cairo Metro is the oldest African rail system. It's also the first rail transit constructed in the Middle East. The system has been operating since its inception in 1987. 3 lines come under this network along with 74 stations. Within Metropolitan Cairo, the transportation network is made up of both formal and informal sectors. The Public Transport Authority runs the bus network, which was introduced in the 1950s. In addition, a far-reaching system of authorized, licensed cabs operates in the city. Informal transportation services include minibuses and taxis. Egypt has enjoyed a strong cinematic tradition since the art of filmmaking was first developed early in 20th century. A natural progression from the active theater culture of that time, cinema rapidly evolved into a vast motion picture industry. Together with the much older Arabic music industry, it has helped to make Egypt the cultural capital of Arab world. For over 500 years, the history and scenery of Egypt have been featured in the works of Western geniuses including William Shakespeare, poet and dramatist John Dryden, novelist and poet Lawrence Durrell, and film producer Cecil B. DeMille. Since the advent of silent movies, Hollywood has incorporated Egyptian stories and visual effects in numerous box office successes. Egypt has also produced some of the 20th century greatest Arab writers such as Taha Hussein, Tawfiq al-Hakim, and the Nobel laureate novelist Naguib Mahfouz, all of whom write for the cinema. Based on these cultural traditions, the Egyptian Association of Film Writers and Critics launched the first Cairo International Film Festival in Cairo on August 16, 1976. For 31 years, Cairo has hosted international stars including Nicolas Cage, Morgan Freeman, Sophia Loren, Elizabeth Taylor, Alain Delon, as well as directors like Robert Weiss, Eloy Kazan, Vanessa Redgrave, in an annual celebration and examination of the state of cinema in the world today. Cairo has a number of sporting teams that compete in national leagues. The best known teams are Al-Zamalek and Al-Ahli, whose annual football local derby is perhaps the most watched sport event in Egypt as well as in the Arab world. Both teams are champions on the African continent and the Arab world and played their home game at Cairo International Stadium, Egypt's largest stadium. The Cairo International Stadium, a multi-purpose sport complex with a soccer stadium, an indoor stadium, and several satellite fields, has hosted several regional and global sporting events including the African Games and the Football World Championship for under 17. Other athletic teams in the city include Al-Jīzah Sporting Club, Shooting Club, Heliopolis Club, and several smaller clubs. Most of the sports federations of the country are located in the Cairo suburbs, including the Egyptian Football Association. The headquarters of the Confederation of African Football was previously located in Cairo before relocating to its new headquarters. Cairo is home to the world's largest food court. The food scene in every country is always worth the exploration, and in Cairo you can easily do it at the Oasis. Oasis is the largest food court in the world, spanning a large area of 41,000 square meters. The place has 25 restaurants to serve you different Egyptian dishes. From traditional main fares to Egyptian sweets and desserts, you can find all sorts of varieties here. The food court can accommodate up to 4,200 guests every day. There's even a kids zone in the large food court to entertain children and get you to keep eating, no less. Koshari is the most famous Egyptian food you will encounter in Cairo and other cities of Egypt. This dish does not contain meat and can be suitable for vegetarians. Koshari features macaroni and lentils on a rice base. It also includes toppings of chickpeas, fried onions, and a spicy sauce. Almost every restaurant and street food vendors in Cairo serves this national dish.